Okay, good morning, Savannah. This is Taraz, the host of the Savannah Business Showcase. Thank you guys for joining us again this week, this Wednesday morning. This morning, I have a very special guest, Mr. Aaron Hill. He is the owner, CEO, founder of Primary Web Design. He's a website designer and SEO specialist. So, Aaron, I'll let you introduce yourself to the listeners.
Okay, well, my name is Aaron Hill. I was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia. Started doing radio and when I was probably about 18.
Okay.
And went and became a journalist and moved out west.
Yeah.
And I did that for a little while, especially during the Bush years. And then I got tired of doing that and went back to school.
Yeah.
My advisor told me that I should build websites. He said, you're a really good artist, you're really intelligent. Have you ever thought about building websites?
Yeah.
And at the time, I honestly thought that websites were like a kind of just a goofy thing that any 13-year-old kid could do. So I was like, no. I'm much more interested into the hardware end of it. I want to build computers and I want to come up with all these really neat things. But ultimately, my love of design and drawing and writing and stuff like that, I ended up studying web design and fell in love with it.
Nice. I did not know you were in radio and journalism before.
Yeah.
I can hear it in your voice now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, maybe my voice will get like that soon enough.
Yeah, right.
I'll improve it.
You have to eat a lot of mashed potatoes, and from what I heard from Rod Serling, you have to smoke a lot of cigarettes too.
Ah, man, well, okay.
Yeah. So if you really want that deep raspy, you gotta burn the lungs a little bit. That's what I was told.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll stay with the potatoes. Well, okay. So website design, you got into it because you had you said anyway, you had a mentor at the time tell you to get into web design.
Right.
So how did you go from there, the West Coast, back to Savannah, and find web design here in Savannah?
Well, I came back to Savannah in about 2006.
Okay.
I have my own reasons for moving back. A lot of it was financial, a lot of changes in my life, and I ended up moving back here. And my family's from here, so
Got you.
So it was just good to get back to my roots.
Got you. Okay, and so why web design in Savannah? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean the area doesn't really matter. I mean, it's something. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. When I left journalism, I went back into bartending.
Okay.
Because I knew that I could make money doing that, and it was cash money every night, and it would pay my bills until I figured out something else that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was bartending, and I don't want to give away my age, but your knees start getting hurt, your back starts hurting, and you wake up one morning, probably in your early 30s, and you decide, I don't want to be a 50-year-old bartender.
Yeah.
And then you start kind of thinking back about your life and about what you've done. And when I was a kid, I would draw comic books, and I would sell them at school. I'd print them off on the printer at the church, and I'd bring them in and I'd sell them for 75 cents. And they were all original comics that I had written, all the different characters I had drawn myself. And then I started painting T-shirts and doing that kind of stuff. But that to me was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. Mm-hmm. I said, I really want to get back to that happiness again. Mm-hmm. So when I came back to Savannah, I started doing my comic book again, and I really enjoyed the drawing and the writing, and that desire not to be a 50-year-old bartender, to find something that you could do.
Yeah.
Web design kind of fit right into that. It fit into my play on drawing and logos and fun stuff like that. And web design is something that I could do from anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really what was most attractive to it for me.
Got you. Awesome. So that said, are a lot of your clients now from Savannah, or are they just from everywhere?
A lot of clients that I have are local.
Okay.
I'd say the bulk of them are local, about 95%. There is a small 5% of people who I've got clients in Washington, D.C., I've got one in Kentucky, I've got a couple out in Arizona. So it really depends on who contacts me and when,
Yeah.
or how they find out about me. The one in Washington, D.C. is the HUD Federal Credit Union.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I just happened to get that gig because a dear friend of mine who actually does my hosting, we've been friends for about 10 years now, he does the security for the credit union, and he does all of their updates for all of the computers. He did all of their networking and everything. So he said to them, you guys really need a new website, and I've got the perfect guy. And that's just how it happened.
Awesome.
But the majority of my clients are people that I'm going to meet, locally, that I'm going to run into, or somebody's going to say, hey, I've got a guy that can do this for you, blah, blah, blah. I used to advertise in Craigslist.
Okay.
And I got one of my best clients that I have, which is SATS Urgent Care.
Okay.
I got from a Craigslist ad.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So network. So that's how we met, through a mutual friend.
Exactly.
Yeah, a mutual
Exactly.
referral, and a former guest on the show, Alan Edwards of Allen Productions. So that's like, networking is big in your business as far as finding clients.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So outside of so what networks are you a part of here in Savannah?
I'm a member of the Savannah Business Referral Team. I'm a member of the New Barter Group. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, Better Business Bureau. I think that's about it right now.
Okay.
I do like to go to, like, Don Scott promotes a lot of events. He's a friend of mine on Facebook, and then there's the Savannah Master Calendar, so I'll go on that and I'll look up different events, and I'll just show up to the events and see what's going on. And McDonough's had first of every Wednesday each month, they would have a networking event.
Really?
And
Okay.
something happened. I don't even know if they're still doing it. I haven't been in a couple of months. But there's, honestly, there's some kind of networking event going on almost every day in Savannah. So you can meet all kinds of business owners, and everybody that I meet needs what I'm selling.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's just the law of the land. It's, I don't know if it's the changing of the times, or if it's just that, device capabilities are stronger, people are using them more and not using maps or phone books or whatever it is that they used to use. Nowadays, everybody picks up their phone and they go, all right, you want to go out to eat? Yeah. Well, let's find a restaurant. So you're going to type into Google, restaurants near me. And Google's going to use your location services to determine the closest restaurants within your vicinity. So getting into that network and being able to be found for what your business does is essential to your business.
Right.
So what I decided I would do is I would sell that service. I would help people get known for what they do. If you're a cake baker, you want to be known for baking cakes. There's a lot of competition for that in Savannah. And we do what we can to help you get on page one.
Yeah.
At the very least, you got to get on Google because they run the internet.
That's true. Yeah.
So getting your business pinned on Google is key. That's like number one thing you should be doing. And a lot of business owners either don't have the time or just don't have the resources or don't know what they need to do to get on the map.
That's true. Very true.
So I sell that service.
Awesome. So as far as networking, there are a lot of different groups. Like you said, you could do something every day. So being a Savannah area native, but also living other places and coming back and seeing how things have changed and being in business for 5 years, I'm interested in like how you feel about there being so many different networking groups and different organizations. Like, do you think it's a good thing or do you think it's a bad thing?
I love it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's great for other business owners to get in touch with each other and find out, you do this service, I do this service. Maybe there's a crossover. Things that people don't think about is my group of people that I meet with I might not know somebody, okay, but somebody that I know might know somebody. And that's kind of how you spread yourself out. If I go and I meet with a business owner and he doesn't need my service and I don't need his service, he might know somebody that I need.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So I think it's great to connect business owners with each other. And there's a lot of overlapping businesses, and then of course there's going to be competition. That's the nature of life. But I also believe that you can learn from one another. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that the internet has actually taught us is learning from one another. I saw something years ago. It was about this kid that was breakdancing, and he was in India. And he was doing stuff that nobody'd ever seen.
Okay.
Well, somebody watched his YouTube video in New York and said, whoa, I like what this kid is doing. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to post it.
Yeah.
And then just this whole dance craze starts because of this one kid in India. It's the spreading of information. It's the upping of the game. It's the learning from different cultures and different people. And I think web design follows that. The internet follows that, especially with open source.
Right.
I might know something, a little piece of code, and it might be exactly what you need to get your website or to get your program, just picture perfect for you. Because that little piece of code is what you were looking for. Here's an example. Last night, I'm working on a website for Cajun Construction.
Okay.
And I wanted to make his homepage the size of the browser screen, the size of the viewport.
Right.
Okay. I wanted it to fill the entire viewport. And I couldn't remember the code, but I knew that there was some code. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to have to use Ajax or if I'm going to have to use JavaScript or if I'm going to have to really go in and mess with the PHP. And I ended up finding a little tiny piece of code that all it was 100% VH in brackets. And it filled the viewport.
Right.
That was exactly what I wanted. I went and dropped that code into the website, and bam, the entire screen filled up. When I shrunk down the size of the viewport, it stayed within that framework, and I was like, man, this is nothing. This little line of code. I would have been racking my brain trying to figure out how to do this with all different sorts of programming languages.
Yeah.
And come to find out I could do it so easily.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of open source, like you were saying. So I guess explain open source to the listeners out there who aren't.
Okay, so open source is something that's not proprietary. Microsoft and Apple are proprietary, all right? So when Microsoft built Windows, you have to use Windows. You can't use anything else. Now, of course, there's Linux, which is a part of the open source community. That is an operating system, just like Windows. Apple has its own operating system. And those are the three big ones, Linux, Microsoft, and Apple. Microsoft and Apple are proprietary in that if you want to run something on it, you have to run their version of it. And you can't go in and look at the code. So let's say you want to change the color background of something in an Apple program that you're running. You don't like the colors that it's using. And they don't give you that opportunity to change the colors. And now this is just a basic example. There's all kinds of different things that you could do, but just for this example, we're going to say color. If I were using an open source program, I could go in and look at the code because it's all available for you to view at any time. Not only that, but because it's open source, you can go in and modify that code for your particular device.
Right.
And you can change anything.
Mm.
But you can't do that with Microsoft and Apple. So open source is basically a community of web developers, programmers, coders who get together and provide all the code so that you can see everything that's going on and you can make any changes that you want to. Mm. This is why Apple was going up before the Supreme Court, because they weren't going to give their security information to the NSA or the Department of Defense, because that's proprietary for them. They worked really hard at designing that code. Doesn't matter that within 24 hours of the release of a new device, somebody's already cracked it.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, you spend months, years developing something, and somebody can hack it within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So trying to remain proprietary, in my opinion, is just silly.
Yeah.
You know, and you're forcing people to download programs that only you write and only you build, and then the rest of the people are left kind of like, well, now I have to go out and buy Apple everything because I got an iPhone.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's why I have an Android.
Yeah.
Because it is really a part of the open source community.
Yeah.
You know, you can do all kinds of things with your Android phone that you can't do with your Apple phone.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of stuck with the iPhone now because I have so many apps that don't really translate over, and I've got so much invested in it. But everything else, I like Windows, I like Android, I like Google. So I agree, and I wish more things, like especially in the business community, were open source, and that's why I like networking events as well, because when you get together with other people, it's kind of an open source mentality because you're helping them with issues that they have, and they're helping you with issues that you have as well.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of a mentality, and that's why I wanted you to explain it a little more.
Yeah. No, and it is. It's the best way to explain open source is just to say a shared community of ideas.
Right.
You know, and ideas are they're valuable.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's knowledge, and knowledge is power. And the more that you know, the more you can help people. Mm-hmm. The more people you can help. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. Is I've always wanted to help people. That was my best friend growing up. He asked me, and he said, what is it that you want to do with your life? Mm-hmm. And I said, I want to help people. Mm. That's what I've always wanted to do. But helping people and making money is, you have to really kind of balance that.
Right.
Because you want to help everybody, but not everybody's got money. So mm-hmm. you help a few people for free because you're a good person. And then you got to charge some other people a little bit more because mm-hmm. they have the money for it. It's a value-added service.
True.
Mom and pop stores are not going to care about their logo. It's not that big of a deal. But when you're talking about multi-billion-dollar corporations like FedEx or Apple even, Facebook, for mm-hmm. example, changing the like button on Facebook is focus grouped. It's months in development. Different artists get together and they agonize over color and should it be 16 pixels? Should it be 22 pixels? And every aspect of the design is really, they really drill down into it and make sure that it is exactly what they want before they make that change. Mm-hmm. The same thing with FedEx when they changed their logo. You're talking about letterheads. You're talking about envelopes. You're talking about planes. They have to spend millions of dollars to repaint all these planes and all these trucks with this new logo. So a logo to them is going to be essential to their branding. They could spend millions of dollars on a logo. Mm-hmm. So go back to the mom and pop store and tell them that they have to spend $1 million on a logo.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. But it's a value-added service for them. So you help the mom and pop stores who don't need that enormous logo that's focus grouped, and they don't have all these different trucks and planes that they need to change the paint on. So maybe you do that for a lower price. Mm-hmm. But this other company, you do it for a higher price. So it all kind of washes out in the end.
Right.
That's what I've found anyway. I've been able to help a lot of people that don't have a whole lot of money get their business going and get them out there on the web so that people can find them and come to them, and it can increase their visibility. And that's really all you want to do, is just increase a business's visibility. If you don't have a website, but you have a brick and mortar store, and you're not doing any advertising on the internet, it's almost as if your business is invisible. Because when you look at the fact that 78% of people are searching for businesses not in phone books, not on print advertising, not on billboards, they're looking on their phone.
Right. Oh, yeah.
78% of people are looking on their phones for your business. If you're not online, you're invisible. And you want to capture that business. And that's what you do. You become more visible online, and then people will be able to find your store, and that translates to more sales, which translates to more money.
Okay. All right. So your purpose is to help people. So let's help the listeners.
Okay.
All right. So you've been in business for how long now?
5 years.
5 years. Website design in Savannah.
Yes.
What is, so 2 questions. What's one thing that you see businesses do wrong with their websites that they could fix? And what's one thing that you think more businesses should be doing more of on their website?
Okay. There's 2 essential ingredients to every website, and that's your phone number and your business address. If you have a brick and mortar store, those are the 2 most important things that you can put on your website.
Okay.
And phone number by itself is okay, but if it's not coded to where all the viewer has to do, or user, is push a button to call your number, they're going to go somewhere else. I'm the type of person, I'll sit there and I'll hold my finger over the number, and then I'll copy it, and then I'll paste it into my phone. Nobody wants to do that. That's that. I mean, if you're not going to make it user friendly for them, they're going to leave. In fact, the average time somebody spends on a website, 3 seconds. Now it's been 3 seconds. They're gone.
Wow. Yeah.
That's it. That was your
That's
time.
crazy. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and that's how people are. So if they can't find your phone number to call you, to find out if you're open, or to find out what you're selling, they're going to leave. The other thing, like I said, was your business address. Best thing for you to do is to put your address in a click to map button. The click to call button, essential. Click to map button, also essential if you have a brick and mortar store.
Okay.
So you put that map option on there, that all they have to do is click the map, and it opens up their Google Maps program, or their Wave, or Waze, Fave, Apple Maps. I mean, there's so many different mapping software out there. But it's going to open up their default mapping program, and it's going to plot out a course for them. You want to make it as easy as possible for your people to find out how to contact you and what services you provide.
Okay.
So click to call button, click to map button, services that you offer. Now, making it attractive and fun is also important, but if you have those 3 key ingredients, you have boosted your business immensely. So when you ask about how do I think businesses could do better on their websites, make sure that everything is easy to find.
Gotcha.
I heard the term information architect years ago, and I said, okay, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to go out, I'm going to be an information architect. I'm going to make it easy for people to find what they're looking for on a website. So when I build a website, I have a forward mind to marketing from the very beginning. So I want to put on there a contact page. I want to make it easy for them to find out what kind of products or services they offer, and I want to make it easy for them to call or to come visit their location.
Okay. If they don't have a location, what should they do?
If they don't have a location, what you do is you put in a service area. And Google will allow you to put in the address but not show it. And then you can put in a service area of about, say, 20 miles away from here to Rincon, let's say.
Okay.
And that service area will show up, and the person on the other end can say, okay, well, I'm not inside this service area, so I need to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that helps to weed out the people that, that might call and you say, well, I'm sorry, we don't go out that far.
Got you.
They might actually know somebody that does.
Yeah.
There was a movie, I don't know if you remember this, but it was my favorite movie every Christmas, Miracle on 34th Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. In that movie, Santa Claus was sending people away from Macy's because Macy's didn't have the products that they wanted. Mm-hmm. It actually drove people into Macy's because they wanted to find something specific, but they couldn't find it at Macy's. And Santa Claus was like, okay, well, I know that it's down here at I saw it over at the Five and Dime down the street, blah, 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 whatever. It helps so much if you don't have the ability to help somebody or you don't have the products. If they can call you up and you know where to send them, you become so much more valuable to them. They have such a wonderful experience with you. So make it easy for people to call you. Make it easy for people to get in touch with you. And if you don't have that product or service, know somebody who does.
Yeah.
Rack your brain. Try and help them. Because that's going to leave a good taste in their mouth. And they're going to go to somebody else and say, they didn't have what I wanted, but they helped me find what I wanted.
Right.
And that's incredible. Something that businesses could do better.
Or do more of. So like
do more of.
Yeah. So somebody has a website. It's kind of a just bland, basic site.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
How could they improve it?
All right. So improving websites. When I go to a website, the first thing that I do is I look for images and I look for content that directs me to take action. Those are two key ingredients as well as the other three key ingredients. Now we're building this giant pot of soup. It's a mirepoix. If you have really stunning, high-quality, high-definition images, which are really easy to get, even with today's phones, I built a website 2 weeks ago, all from phone images. This guy had gone out of his business. He'd snapped a few pictures with his phone. He'd snapped a few pictures of the pizzas. I'm going to give it away. It's Green Fire Pizza. But he snapped a few pictures of the pizzas, some of himself and some people that work with him. We culled it all together, put it onto a website, and it's gorgeous. It looks really beautiful. And you would never know that, he took all those pictures on his phone.
Wow.
You would think that he went out and hired somebody with a digital camera and had them go out and take all these incredible pictures. Yeah. So high definition pictures are not that hard to come by. Anybody can take pictures with their phone. Anybody can. Yeah. And you can crop pictures to make it look better than it actually is, And I've done that before. I had a guy, there's an Airbnb here in Savannah, and I built his website. And he had some pictures of the interior of the B&B, but it didn't look just right. There were some things that I thought, that makes it look a little small. Let's cut the ceiling off here so that you can't tell the height, and we'll make it look more open and more inviting. And we were able to go in and do that and made this beautiful little tiny B&B just look like a mansion inside. But it is a really beautiful place. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't get good pictures.
Gotcha.
If it was a Roach Motel, there's pretty much nothing I can do about that. Sorry. I can do my best. Content that directs users to take action. you've seen things that say click now or click here or find out more information. These are leading things that get people to take action. You want them to buy your products. So you want to explain what your products are, and then you want to say, all right, go over here, buy this product now, or call for more information. People also like to have prices on the website immediately.
I noticed that about your site too, and I really appreciated that, because most of the time with website design they say call for a quote. Yeah. But I would never call for a quote. I just rather do it myself, because you never know. I don't want to waste their time and my time if it's not within my budget. So I really appreciate that about your site as well.
A lot of people are vicariously shopping. They can get on the internet and they can do pretty much whatever they want to, and do it with complete anonymity. Yeah. And they like doing it that way, and I like doing it that way. Yeah. I'll go on Facebook and just hang out and not say anything to anybody and just get in their conversations and read everything. And I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool.
Right.
But I'll do the same thing with websites. I'll go and I'll look at their website, and if it doesn't have prices, or it's not inviting, I might not go use that store.
Right.
If I can't find what I'm looking for. And this is all based around information architecture. You build a website just like an architect would design a building. The more pleasing the building, the more easy it is to find the fire escapes or the bathrooms or the elevators. The more happy people are to go into that building and make use of it. Right. The same thing with a website. If you've got an easy-to-read menu, I can find exactly what I'm looking for. It directs me to take action, either to make a purchase or to find more information, or maybe there's a coupon that you have, and I don't know about it because it's not out there in internet land. You might have it on your website. So it's important that people are able to use your website easily, find the information they're looking for quickly, and then direct them to take action after that.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. Perfect timing for a break. So we're going to take a quick break. Everybody out there listening, thank you for joining us. We'll be back in just a couple seconds with more from Aaron Hill of Primary Web Design. We're going to put him through the lightning round. All right. So see you guys in a minute. Welcome back, Savannah, to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm here again with Aaron Hill, founder of Primary Web Design, and we're going to take him through the lightning round. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I like how you didn't know at first whether I was founder, CEO, president.
I just put them all in there.
All that fun stuff. That's good. That's good.
What do you call yourself?
Sole proprietor.
That's what the IRS calls you.
Yeah, that's what they call me. So I'm just a business owner. Anybody asks me, I'm a business owner.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. The same thing.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, so first question. How have you approached failure in life?
With a sledgehammer. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I don't like failure. I approach it with perseverance.
Okay, good. Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
This is going to seem funny, but Rich Little was one of my first influences as a kid.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
Rich Little did voices for different cartoons and movies. Okay. He was very, very popular back in the 80s when I was growing up. And I just loved doing voices. Okay. At one point, I had about 83 different voices that I could do.
Really?
Yeah, and they were pretty spot on. And please don't ask me to do them. Okay. I mean, I'll do them, but please don't ask me, because then I have to come up with something that they would say. But just simple voices. As I grew older, voices like Gollum became popular, so I started doing that voice. And I don't know if you remember, there's a movie called The Princess Bride. Okay, so there's a character in there. His name's Wallace Shawn. And he does the little scene back and forth with the iocane powder. Yeah. And he's got this really kind of strange, quirky voice.
Yeah. I just watched that movie this year.
And he says, "Inconceivable!" So I loved doing voices. So he was a major influence to me, because Rich Little he would get out there and he'd do all these different voices. Yeah. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, yeah. So he was a major influence.
So what is Rich Little known for? Like, what's one of his major characters?
Gosh.
What are you known for?
Well, the first time I ever saw him was Rich Little's A Christmas Carol.
Okay.
And it was the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Okay.
And Rich Little did all these different character performances. And gosh, like one of my favorites was Paul Lynde. And Paul Lynde had a really goofy role on the TV show Bewitched.
Mm-hmm.
He was the drunk uncle.
Okay.
Who was always the drunk gay uncle who was always coming in and what is going on here? You know, so Rich Little used to do that.
Too.
Yeah. And I got into that, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can do these voices.
Yeah.
And I did them for a long time. That's actually how I got into radio.
Awesome. Yeah. I watched a lot of Nick at Night as a kid, and I
Loved
think that's
it.
why I get along with my wife's grandparents so well, because the jokes that I think are funny are probably the same things they think are funny. All right. Anyway, next question: do you have kids, and what did you teach your children, or were you going to teach your children about entrepreneurship?
I do have children. I have 3 kids.
How old are they?
Oh, gosh. No. 24, 19, and 17.
Gotcha.
Hey. I didn't teach my kids about entrepreneurship growing up. I kind of took a hands-off approach to that. I wanted them to be themselves, be whatever they wanted to be. There was something that my girlfriend and I had talked about when my second son was born, and I said I want him to be a really smart kid. I want him to be super intelligent, and I want to teach him all of these things about knowledge and about how to gain knowledge and what wisdom is, and I was going to impart upon him all of the things that I had learned through life. And she stopped me and she said, I just want him to be happy. And I said, man, now I feel like a heel. Because it's true, you know? Yeah. You want your children to be intelligent, but really the most important thing about life is being happy.
Right.
And finding happiness in whatever it is that you do. My parents did not push me to go in one direction or another. What they did was they told me they don't care what I do with my life as long as I'm the best there is at it. And that is what I've carried with me my whole life. And that's what I impart to my children and to any child that's out there. Be happy and be whatever you want to be.
What have you had to sacrifice in order to start your business?
A lot of personal relationships. Like I said, I was a bartender for many years. There's a whole lifestyle that surrounds that industry. And it's a lifestyle of staying up really late, getting off at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, going and drinking with all your friends at the bar, because if you don't, who are you?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't drink, they don't trust you.
Really? Wow.
You know, that was kind of the attitude. And I was like, well, I want to be a friendly person. I want everybody to get along with me. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to hang out and have fun with them. As a result, though, you don't get up real early. You don't have a lot of time to spend on building a business. So you end up having to sacrifice a lot of personal relationships with people who are not necessarily toxic. I don't want to use that word because I don't like that term, but they're not going in the same direction as you are.
Right.
And if they're not, then you do have to cut them loose. And it's the hardest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
And I don't hope that anybody has to do it, but that is a sacrifice that you have to make if you want to be successful.
I agree. I don't have a problem cutting people off, so that's
Edward Scissorhands, right?
Yeah. I have scissors, I have scissors on my toes too. I'll cut you. I'm just joking. What is something that you consume religiously? It could be a blog, TV show, YouTube channel, podcast. What's something?
There's
you
a
don't
particular type of software that I use. to build my websites, and there are forum groups that are devoted to that, and I get email updates all the time, and I go and I read that.
Got you.
So just staying on top of changing trends and design aspects, that and coffee. Those are the two things that I consume the most.
Do you have any hobbies, or are you a part of any groups that aren't mainstream, and that make people look at you weird when you tell them about it?
I try not to be weird.
It's okay to be weird.
It is, and that's one of the things that I've learned. I've started embracing my weirdness because I am a very strange person. Like I said, I grew up drawing comic books, so for me, comic books are my little hidden kind of secret love.
Okay.
I have a love affair with comic books that has been going on since I was probably 3 years old.
Yeah.
Superheroes, anything that has to do with that. Cosplay. I absolutely love dressing up.
Okay.
You know, and at first, you know, people were like, cosplay, what's that? That's something that I've had to explain to people. And it's really like, do you dress up for Halloween? Yeah. Yes or no? You know, have you ever dressed up for Halloween? Because as a man gets older, it's like, I don't dress up for Halloween. Well, okay, so maybe you don't, but you did when you were a kid, right?
Right.
Yeah, I did that as a kid. All right, then. So you know what cosplay is. Cosplay is just dressing up. It's just showing off football, okay? You paint your face.
Right.
You wear your colors. You
Right.
get out there. You scream. You hoot and you holler. That's cosplay for me, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you're doing it in a sports arena, and I'm doing it at a comic book convention in the local hotel. You know, I mean,
That's awesome, though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk my wife into doing one day, so we'll see.
Oh, it's fun. So much fun.
So I'll follow that with the next question. What if you had a superpower or a super ability, what would you choose and why?
Flight.
Okay.
Superman was my favorite superhero growing up. And I, as I've gotten older, I've kind of taken stock of what does that say about my emotional psyche, that flight is my favorite thing in the world. And it has to do with flight symbolizing something. It symbolizes freedom for me. If anybody was trying to capture Superman, he could just fly away.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to stop him. Didn't matter that he was made of steel to me. I don't care. Bullets bounce off of you, so what?
Yeah.
You flew away, man. These people were after you, and you were able to escape.
Yeah.
So anytime when I was younger growing up, anytime I became afraid, I always pretended to be a bird so that I could fly away. And I always said, you know, if I die and I come back as an animal of some sort, I want to come back as like a hawk or an eagle or some kind of bird of prey. You know, because the little birds, they get picked off so easily.
What was the last experience that made you a stronger person?
Oh, gosh. That's a really, really tough question. So many experiences I draw knowledge from. I have an experience almost every day that I learn from. Life should be, in my opinion, a learning experience. You don't go through life as if there's a destination. Like, all right, I graduated from high school. Good, now everything's done. Nope. I got married. I bought a house. I went to college. I got a good job. When does it stop? When do you say, I have arrived? In my personal experience, that has never happened. So for me, experiences happen every day if you're paying attention. And it's really weird because I gain knowledge from the stupidest things. Movies, commercials. I'll watch a commercial and I'll start tearing up because it touched me in some way. And it will impart a bit of wisdom on me that I can take with me.
Yeah.
But the most recent thing, I couldn't point to one thing that really changed me or helped me to grow just off the top of my head. But experiences I learn from every day.
Fair enough. What is your favorite book?
I I could say the last good book I read
That's fine.
was Harry Potter,
Okay. Which one?
the Half-Blood Prince.
Okay.
Really enjoyed that one. But you know, you want to say, oh, you don't read any books on web design or this, you know, those aren't good books. You know, they're important for the information that they have, but when I want to read a book, I want to be transported to another world, and the Harry Potter books really touched me in a way that no other books have. I've been a fan since 2001.
Wow. There's the concept of the 80-20 principle. I ask all the guests this. 20% of your actions equal 80% of the results you get in business. So what are the 20% of actions you take on a daily or weekly basis that get you 80% of the results?
I go out and talk to people and tell them what I do. I ask them what are some of the things that they're struggling with as a business.
Mm-hmm.
If I can help them in any way, I will. That little 20% of effort, just going up to somebody and saying hi.
Yeah.
That, for some people, because you say, well, some people are introverts, some people are extroverts, blah, blah, blah. That sometimes is difficult for me because I kind of teeter back and forth between being an introvert and being an extrovert. So for me, sometimes going up to somebody and saying hi is 80% of the effort for me. But it's so tiny and so easy to do,
right,
that it really is the 20% that leads to the 80% of success. Just going up to somebody and introducing yourself and just striking up a conversation is 20% of the effort, and you can yield so much from that little interaction.
Is there a quote that has always been a mantra that you live life by?
Yes. And actually, now that you ask me that, I can go back to that thing that did make an impact on me.
Okay.
So January 26th is my daughter's birthday. And on that day, I also had some difficulty in my life. I was really at a low point, and I posted something on Facebook. And a friend of mine sent me a YouTube video by Napoleon Hill, and it was the law of success.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Aaron, this is really important, not just from a business standpoint, but from an emotional development standpoint. And I started watching just the first 2 minutes of it, and it was an hour-long video. And the way that he spoke and the things that he said meant so much to me. Just the way that he said it is really what had an impact on me. He was just so pleasing and kind and just warm-hearted and had a nice, even tone. And he quoted this. He said, whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And that had the greatest impact on me. And it really did change my life. So that's the answer to both your questions right there. Napoleon Hill, the law of success, and if you can conceive it and believe it, because conceiving of something is an idea, but believing in that idea is really the cornerstone of then achieving that idea. So conceive it, believe it, achieve it. That's my quote.
Awesome. I like that a lot. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
This is a tough one too. Some big city somewhere.
Okay.
That's I'm a city man. That's who I am. I'm not a country boy, although I have been mud bogging, and it was a lot of fun. And I've been trying to get out of my comfort zone a lot as I get older, because if my belief is that experiencing life is important, then doing things that are outside of your comfort zone are important. But for me, any big city, anywhere, the electricity, the people, that's really what I crave, is just that communion.
Yeah.
You know, New York probably. I'd have to say Manhattan. When I was up there, I really enjoyed it, and I'd probably live there. Sure.
I agree. I know I'm asking you questions, but I definitely agree with you. I feel like I'm a city guy too in some ways. Whenever I go to New York, you can just feel the energy of everybody hustling and bustling around you. Or like when we were coming like south, if you're traveling south into Atlanta, and I think it's got to be 85, but 85, and it just opens up into the city of Atlanta. It kind of just engulfs you, and you just kind of end up in the city.
You feel like it's a magnet
pulling
you in.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah,
I love that feeling.
Yep. So I'll ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Okay.
What did you want to be as a kid?
As a kid, I wanted to do voices for cartoons.
Okay. Advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
Find out something that you're good at and do it. Do it every day. There was this law that I read, the law of 10,000 hours. You spend 10,000 hours doing something, you will be good at it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. There's nothing that I've ever heard in my life that has really made an impact on me as much as that did. Because when I first started web design, I knew nothing. Literally nothing. I didn't know how to write a program. I didn't know any coding language. I knew zero. And which was probably why I was apprehensive at first, when my college advisor said, you should do web design.
Right.
I got into it, and I said, I'll never learn this. This is just impossible. Yeah, I can draw a few things, but this is beyond my skill set. And I kept doing it. And I kept doing it every day. And I enjoyed it more. The more I learned, the more I enjoyed it. The more I was able to manipulate what I saw on the screen. And it's as easy as writing a little piece of code and then opening that code up in your web browser. And the web browser automatically renders it for you.
Right.
So I was having fun just finding little pieces of code and then typing it around some content and then changing the background color, changing the font color. I could do anything I wanted to. And I was like, building a website is like sculpting. Like you start with this white blank canvas, which is the viewport of your browser. And then you just put in colors and pictures and words, and then you start putting in borders around things, and it's like you are modeling with clay, except it's digital clay. And I just fell in love with it, and I said, this is what I'm good at. This is what I should be doing. And that was about 10 years ago. And now it's just fun for me. I can go in and take pictures and take words and put them on the screen, and it's dazzling and it's fun and it's interactive, and I did it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really fun for me.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, that's it. We're going to wrap up. Thank you for being on the show. Aaron Hill, once again, of Primary Web Design. How can people find you and get in touch with you?
They can go to my website, which is www.primarywebsitedesign.com, or they can just give me a call anytime, 912-604-1126.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you, everybody out there listening, for joining us again this morning. I believe in everybody out there listening. I hope you guys are getting some type of value from the show, because I believe in you, and I want you guys to grow and build your business and connect with other people in Savannah. And I believe in you. Love you. Talk to you next week.